some get back. Payback. Payback. That is.
KBLA Talk 1580. Yes, indeed. Reparations, the big payback. Happy to welcome in a native Angelino. She says she grew up watching her mom work as an activist during the 60s and 70s with the Black Panthers. She is an IT professional with over 25 years experience as an infrastructure engineer across multiple industries, a serial entrepreneur, and she's been part of the reparations movement since 2019. She says that resurgence began when several grassroots organizations started to crop up across the nation. She's a founding member and co-chair of the local Lineage organization, local to the West Coast, to Los Angeles, Lineage, Equity, and Advancement Project, and is founding member of the statewide organization, CJAC, California's for Coalition for Just and Equitable California. Lorri Jenkins, welcome. Ms. Jenkins, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, now I can. Yes, indeed. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dominique, for having me.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the thing we'll probably go to several times here, just because I want to make sure we let folks know. There is a meeting this weekend, pretty substantive, I would think, reparations meeting going on in the LA area this weekend.
Correct. That is correct. With all of the events that took place at the Capitol and all of the subsequent galvanizing by the community for answers, it's only fitting that as one of the larger grassroots organizations here in Southern California that we do our part. And so as a part of the series of town halls that we are holding all up and down the state of California, we will be having one Saturday, September 28th. It starts at 3 p.m. and it's going to be at True Vine Baptist Church, and that's 1437 Centinela Avenue in Inglewood. And of course, we are inviting lawmakers. We would love for them to come and, explain their rationale to the community directly, right? And so that the community can actually talk and ask questions directly of them. We think it's time that the CLBC come out of hiding and not just go to spaces where they feel comfortable or they feel like they won't be challenged. They need to face the community.
Yeah. So for those who haven't been following, CLBC is the California Legislative Black Caucus. They made a decision end of last month, at the very end of the legislative session, not to move forward with two bills that were important to those of us who are reparationists, the Freedmen's Bureau and the funding mechanism for reparations in the state of California. These came out of the task force recommendations. They were carried by Senator Stephen Bradford, appeared to have support, passed out of committee, and then at the last minute they were unalived. And there was plenty of people from the community who went up to advocate for them to at least give them a vote, make the governor make that decision. And the lawmakers appeared to ignore our representatives, our community representatives who are up at the Capitol, and have ignored subsequent cries. I don't know. I will say, though, Ms. Jenkins, I think, after Assemblyman Isaac Bryan came to the initial meeting at the Center for Black Power, the BLM Center for Black Power, maybe they would hesitate because a lot of people were yelling at him and not really listening to what he was saying. Understandable anger, but I don't know if a lot of lawmakers are going to put themselves in that position.
Well, Dominique, the emotions were fresh.
Yeah.
They were raw, right? And so, the people have a right to express their raw emotions, shortly after. I do think Isaac was very brave. He has been the only one that has stepped out and has addressed the community directly. There were one single bad actor that kind of just took it too far, but there was really not a lot of. It was just people shouting kind of to be heard, and there's just an emotional response when you hear something that doesn't sit right with you, and there were multiple people who made that response at the same time. So it might seem like that was the case, but he was able to stand around afterwards and have conversations in different parts of the building while things moved on. And so I would submit it wasn't as hostile as they made it think. And so also you would think the CLBC would be like, oh, well, Isaac took the first punch for us. Maybe we can kind of go out into the community and not get punched so hard.
Right. Let him be the linebacker.
Right.
So who should come to this meeting, and what are we hoping comes out of it?
Everyone in the community who is a stakeholder, anyone who is, eligible to receive, and those who are not, those who are allies, should come out. We have the Lineage focused, reparations crowd, which is, as it should be. We also, we welcome people that have other perspectives and other ideologies, so that maybe they can come and listen and hear and get an understanding about what the Lineage movement is about. All freedmen, Negroes, indigenous, all of the names, the foundational Black Americans, the ADOSs, we want all of those, the members of those communities, whatever you call yourself, to come. And the purpose is, like we said, to be able to get some answers. We're still trying to get confirmation from the legislators whose district that is in. True Line Baptist Church is a longstanding church there. The pastor is my brother-in-law, and he knows a lot of the CLBC members, including Tina McKenna and Senator Steve.
And McKenna is the representative for that area, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Correct. And also we have invited Lola Smallwood Cuevas. We're also going to give voice and some space to some people who are, challenging them in the upcoming elections.
Since we're, we can agree to disagree on that. We're not in primary season, so what you're doing is you're giving space to Republicans who have wholesale opposed reparations.
Well, I don't think we've invited any Republicans. Actually, we're inviting people who are running, such as Michelle Chambers, and there's a gentleman, Sanford. He's also running. And
Chambers is running for Bradford's seat, just to be clear for folks who aren't following Bradford. Laura Richardson and Michelle Chambers are the two contenders there.
Right. And so we're giving space to those types of candidates. I like I said, I don't think we've invited any Republicans. If we have and they come, it would only be as a C3. We can't be partisan. We have to kind of give
Got it.
space to all
honestly, if they come, I'd love to hear folks, hard questions about reparations for some folks in that party.
And these types of settings are often the only time that the community is able to interface with up and coming candidates.
And no, Nita, she's in the chat. No, Assemblymember Brian did not actually literally get punched. He was just getting yelled at. I think it would have broken out into a brawl at that point. But no, we weren't close to that. I don't feel like we were close to that.
And it's a safe space. We're going to be in a safe space, right? We will have security. There is not going to be any shenanigans, I would submit. And, you mentioned at the Capitol when we were all there, I was there. And, I took a more of an observationist role. And what I can say is that the CLBC members, I was very surprised. They treated the community with a lot of contempt. It was very disrespectful of some of their behavior.
I've heard that from so many people, and you can see it on the videotape. You can see it.
And that's what's disheartening. Then what are you there for? And so if you look down on the people that elect you and put you there to put forth their best interest, that says to me that that's not really what you're there for. You have another motive for being there, and it's not to serve the people that elected you, because if it was, you would be more respectful. You would honor the people that put you there. You would show appreciation. But the things like mocking people, I mean, telling people you run for office and win a seat, just like smart remarks.
Which, by the way, is a great way to get people to do just that.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, I was just smiling because you said you were taking an observational role. I know you're an engineer, so that tracks. But let me look at the data. What is actually happening here? And how did you, you're attributing that to them being there for the wrong reasons. And so that to me is part of what my interpretation, now we're talking interpretation, I'm always clear about this, of what's going on with these supposed listening sessions or town halls that the CLBC is having that are mysteriously sold out everywhere, is that, that they're there for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely. That's called damage control, right? Now, they were probably scheduled, ahead of time. I do understand that the state of Black California has been going on for maybe a little over a year now, but at this point, the sold out. Like you said, there's a lot of kind of cloaking and daggering, and people scheduled to appear, people canceling at the last minute, not showing up. I believe there was one that took place in the Oakland area or Sacramento area where they actually were there, and there was some challenges from the audience, and rightfully so. Chris Lodgson, to me, did a wonderful job of really speaking for how the community felt at large during the closing remarks. They weren't taking it, they won't take questions, and so, like you said, if you're not here to serve and answer to the community that put you there, then what are you here for? It's performative. What is it for? It's like a nonprofit funding tour. We just want to show you what we're doing with the money that we have, and so you will think that we're being effective, and so we can continue into the next funding cycle, right? But is it really there to accomplish anything?
Yeah, we're going to get into that. What are the calls to action? Want to look at updates on where we are with those bills that did pass, and more. We're talking with Lorri Jenkins of LEAP official, the Lineage Equity and Advancement Project is the full name, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard Mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Pros, now's your chance to save big during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Right now, save big on appliances like the GE Stainless Steel Kitchen Suite. Plus, save $40 on 5-gallon pails of Valspar Reserve, Valspar Defense, and Valspar Stain. Shop Pro Savings Days today for big savings on everything you need to get the job done right. Because Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 9/27 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 Years Later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America, 20 Years Later, today.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
We're talking with the co-chair of LEAP, Lineage Equity and Advancement Project, also a founding member of CJEC, on the issue of reparations here in California. Lorri Jenkins, a bunch of folks inside of the YouTube chat are bringing up the issue of governor, even though the governor's race doesn't happen until 2026. I think Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa is running. He came on this show. I think the answer he gave around reparations was not satisfying. I would like to explore that further with him because we have a long time, positive relationship, and I feel like he's a great lawmaker. But to me, this has got to be a make or break issue for a governor, because as it's been pointed out inside the YouTube chat, the governor has to sign whatever the legislature passes.
Mm-hmm. And to date, we've been tracking these bills to see where they are. We know that the one of the remaining bills that Senator Bradford authored, SB 1050, is still on the governor's desk. We get notices every day of all of the legislature that he has passed and that he has signed. And we have yet to see, I believe there are maybe 2 others that were in the 14th bill priority package that
right. One is the Reggie Jones Sawyer, the apology. We expect that to get signed, but it hasn't been signed yet, right, as far as we know.
Correct.
And the other one is the Keila Weber version of the apology.
The Keila Weber version of the apology. I do believe the Crown Act one was signed. That is the only one I did see that was signed recently or maybe over the weekend. And so, we're still waiting to see if these bills. I anticipate that he is going to sign them because, of course, the big bad wolf was taken out of the equation. In my opinion is I do believe that this whole entire thing was something that was done at the behest of Governor Newsom.
So you don't. So wait, hold up on that, because that's a little different than what I've been hearing, other than from any of the lawmakers, really. Now that I analyze it, you think that they were sparing the governor?
I absolutely think that they were sparing the governor, and of course, you're not going to snitch out your boss. Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can't get any bill passed if he don't sign it. So you're saying there's what we're seeing, what we saw in that Tina McKinnon op-ed piece in the LA Sentinel, and what we've heard on this show from lawmakers, which is basically that it was infighting or procedural, or what Senator Smallwood Cuevas said, which is she had concerns with the bill. That none of those are the truth. The truth is they were protecting the governor from having to veto these 2 bills.
I think all of the above was true. I just think it was a perfect, you-know-what storm. I won't say that word on live on the radio, but it was a perfect you-know-what storm in that at the governor's, and perhaps it might be even go as high as the DNC, not wanting this, maybe it wasn't polling well nationally. Well, of course, we know it hasn't been polling well in terms of reparations, that, this is not a topic that they want to kind of proceed, because if these bills pass, it rocks this nation, because they would be the very first in-kind, tangible bills that would literally start standing up an infrastructure for reparations. Uh-oh. Can't have that, can we? And so it might have gone as high as the DNC. The governor says, okay, well, I'll take care of it. He goes, he tells Lori Wilson, the chair, who he has a great relationship, according to what he said, to these bills can't come to the desk. They looked at it, his office looked at it. How can we materially change this and so that it's not the original bill? And then we can probably sign it.
So now, you're basing this on what?
Kind of how the story has been pieced together for us that have kind of, been on the inside of this and have worked very long time with a lot of the people in multiple offices, staffers, things like that. Kind of you have conversations and you learn some things, And so, like I said, it's purely my opinion and speculation about it coming down from the DNC coming down. But I do believe Governor Newsom did have something to do with it, whether it was because he decided to gut the bill and change it. That spoke volumes, whether he verbally said, I don't want this bill in its present form. His office changed it so that it would not have the same impact, right?
Right. There's always be another study, is what we understand.
So actions speak louder than words. That tells us that he did not want the agency stood up at this time. And so the CLBC, I believe, just, took that. And I believe because Senator Bradford acted the way he did, which is, of course, he looks at the amendments. He's the author. He's not going to take the amendments. Why take it back to CLBC if he's the author? He's going to reject it, right? And I believe that just exacerbated the infighting that they had been going on. Maybe it woke it back up because they had put it to bed. They had agreed on the bills. They had worked together on the bills. And maybe that one act of, that kind of like solo decision-making is what sparked this all up again in terms of their hurt feelings.
Because Senator Bradford said on this show that he has had the governor suggest amendments for bills before, and he's seen others do it that the author of the bill rejected, and then the governor signed the legislation anyway. So what Bradford was arguing, that those amendments did not mean an automatic veto.
Correct. And so, like I said, I think it was all of the above. And I think as part of the CLBC members who were in that chamber, not accepting accountability for what they did, right? They're just doing, with any, like this is, I don't know who's guiding their PR, because they're doing nothing but deflecting. They're blaming.
Not taking responsibility, telling all different stories that don't make any sense. And then, I know.
It's a total fail.
Yeah, it is a total fail. And it's not, it is the PR for sure, but it's not just the PR. Because you can come on this show and say, well, the issue was communications. Yeah, that's true. But the other issue is what you were going to communicate. I do want to know what's going on in advance, but if the call is, we're going to screw you, it's not going to get a good reaction, even if you communicate it effectively.
And so why was it unanimous? And, Senator Bradford spoke of there being a vote that was taken amongst the CLBC members on whether or not to bring these to the floor.
And Assemblymember Bryan also said that too. Well, he claims that it was because they were trying to preserve their unity. But, we're talking about something historic here, right? So
that tells me, again, you are not there for the purpose that you were sent there for. You are there for your own agenda, for the agenda of your group. That comes first and foremost, right? So they're playing the game of politics. Dirty politics, dirty pool, politics as usual. And we have gotten away from these people being there and serving
the will of the people. And it's just very disappointing. And that's why there's so many calls that, we've got to get these people out of office. We understand it might not be this cycle, might not be the next cycle, but that is definitely a focus in the community moving forward, is starting to pay more attention to getting in a position for the grassroots to run their own candidates, to run candidates, support candidates, back candidates, finance candidates that truly are there to do the will of the people.
We, I've been putting out this idea, which I think might be good too, which is having a pledge, a reparations pledge, just like we had the no oil money pledge and the no cop money pledge that we ask candidates to take. I would love to see a reparations pledge, a signed document that we can get from candidates before we support them, before I support them. That's how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Put your money where your mouth is. A lot of these, candidates, they pay us lip service, right? They tell you what they think you want to hear. And then as soon as they actually get elected, it becomes about an entirely different agenda.
Yeah. We got news, traffic, and sports, and we'll continue our conversation with Lorri Jenkins and you on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The White House is trying to de-escalate tensions between Israel and the Iran-backed militia, Hezbollah. The United States is sending a small number of troops to the region. The Pentagon says the U.S. is taking the action out of an abundance of caution. A potential cyclone heading towards the Gulf of Mexico is expected to become Tropical Storm Helene in the coming hours. Forecasts call for the storm to strengthen to a Category 3 hurricane when it makes landfall Thursday night. Simone Biles is developing a new restaurant at Houston's Bush Intercontinental Airport in recognition of the African-American gymnast and her achievements as the world's most decorated gymnast of all time. The restaurant will be called Taste of Gold. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America N.A. Copyright 2024.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Big time series coming up for the Dodgers at home. The San Diego Padres are in town for 3 games starting tonight. The Padres have won 4 straight and trailed the Dodgers by 3 games in the NL West Division in the final week of the regular season. If the Dodgers can pull off a sweep, they will clinch the NL West title for the 3rd straight year. X-rays on the left ankle of Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert were negative. The Chargers don't know if Herbert will be able to play in Sunday's home game against Kansas City. Chargers safety Derwin James definitely will not be playing Sunday. The NFL suspended him for 1 game without pay for repeated violations of safety rules. James has 5 unnecessary roughness penalties since the start of the 2023 season. He got his 5th on Sunday in Pittsburgh. The 1-game suspension will cost James $750,000. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, home of the 2024 Climate Justice Campaign.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit ca-smp-volunteer.org. Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Mommy, want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let Mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
And we are talking with Lorri Jenkins of Leap. Leap Official is tell us your contact before we get too further close to the end of the hour.
Okay, so our website is leapofficial.org, and our other social media, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube are leapofficial.org, at leapofficial.org.
Okay, good stuff. Let's go to Jan calling us from LA. Good morning, Jan.
Hey, good morning, Lorri. Good morning, Dominique.
That sounds like Jan Williams.
It is Jan Williams. Good morning. Good morning. I was wondering if Lorri could share a little bit about some of the things I've been hearing of folks who were appointed Governor Newsom's appointees on the task force, like Dr. Cheryl Grills, who was against lineage-based reparations. They're now pushing for harm-based reparations, which, in my opinion, opens it up to everybody. If you could speak to what do you see going on with that group of folks who seem to be jockeying for the $12 million that was appointed to fund the agency?
Okay. I understand. I think I understand the question. I kind of take issue with putting a whole group of people and thinkers into one big batch. Because people have different, just talking to people since January, we've been doing the Freedman Fridays, people have nuanced views on this. But as, still, you can address the question, Lorri, and also the issue of that $12 million, where I was told that the funding, Senator Smallwood Cuevas said that money had not been designated yet, and then 2 days later, or 3 days later, the request was made for $6 million of it to go to exactly who CJAC had been saying it would be steered to, which is the Black Freedom Fund, and $6 million is supposed to go to the agency that they obstructed the standing up of, which is interesting because so it's going to the future agency that they are maybe going to create. I guess. Yeah, you can address kind of my questions and Jan's questions.
So I believe the additional $6 million was slated to go toward the university system, of course, based on the governor's
attempt to change it into a study bill. So it's interesting. I guess I'll answer that question first. So it's funny. We talked about, the state of Black California, and, California Black Freedom Fund has been under the microscope because, we did have advanced knowledge that was one of the groups that they were talking about giving the money to. And it was interesting because in the town hall that they had there, he was asked, directly, was his organization, slated to receive the money? And his answer was, we're not attached to those funds. We're not attached to those funds. And so Chris asked another question. He says, well, we understand that, that there has been a request to the governor's office to give you guys that money. Like I said, again, we do not have those funds, and we're not attached.
When
to
you
those
say
funds.
he, because I was there. When you say he, you're talking about
Mark Philpart,
right? Who's part of the
Philpart,
Black
the
Freedom
CEO.
Fund? Yeah,
right. So the very next thing Chris did was he says, "Well, it's funny you're saying you're not attached to those funds. We have a letter here from the CLBC that was sent requesting that your organization receive the funds." Gotcha. And so he was playing word speak, right? He was using words in a way to make it seem like I'm not attached to that money.
meaning we don't have
Knowing
it.
full
Meaning
well,
we don't have it yet. Is what he was. Is that
playing games.
right?
So,
I got
so
you.
what they're doing is they're playing games, and this consortium of people that were on the task force that were against the Lineage standard have apparently come together and have formed a nonprofit alliance to continue pushing their view of what reparations should look like. I can't speak on their actions. To me, if that's what their belief is and that's their ideology, all you can do is work to counter it or to work to change it, or because to me, this is my own opinion. I don't believe that there really is a compromise. I do know that Lineage, as it is reparations as it is intended, is meant to go to the group of people that were harmed, right? The people who descended from chattel slavery. Were there other people that might have been subjected further out, after the civil rights movement? Yes. To me, that's different, though. A Black agenda would need to be, created in order to address those things. But reparations, to me, for the descendants of chattel slavery. And one of the things that people don't seem to understand is that when the Japanese received reparations, not all Japanese Americans received it. There was, if you've read John Takaishi's book, Redress, right, the inside story of Japanese American reparations, he goes into the details. There were at one point, it was, the Japanese community. And don't think for a minute that just because the people were released from camp, other Japanese people weren't subjected to probably harassment that weren't interred, right? Just in general, the climate was probably very hostile for all Japanese people, But
no doubt. I mean, we've talked about this,
decision.
and we're going to keep talking about it ad nauseum because it seems to be a big sticking point. And I've interviewed.
It's a precedent.
Yeah.
It's a precedent, though, and we do things by precedent. This movement has been built on precedent. The call for desegregation and delineation came from the AAPI and what they've already done, right? And so
Asian Pacific Islander Community, for those who don't know the acronyms.
And
I've spoken with some folks who were actually organizers around that, and I understand that that's clear. To me, and I know not everyone agrees with this, including some folks from CJAC. To me, the California task force did create a compromise, and while it is weighted on the Lineage side, to me it's reasonable because it seems like if you were in this country before the civil rights movement and you were not the descendant of an enslaved African, but your land was taken for racially motivated reasons, and then that becomes the law of the land, while it would need to go through the Freedmen's Bureau, it would still possibly benefit you. If we outlaw, if we correct things within education, banking, all of these institutions where the harms and badges of slavery persist,
Absolutely.
that is going to, and
Going
the
to
Jim
benefit.
Crow, that is going to benefit everybody who is black. And I think that, to me, that's a fair compromise. I don't... But I don't think you can be mad at, and I think Dr. Grills has done some incredible work, and I don't think you can be mad at people for pushing the line on what they want to do. To me, the issue becomes this doublespeak that you're talking about, and these hidden agendas. If that's what you're doing, because I'm looking at the Black Freedom Fund website, I have nothing against them. I've looked at it repeatedly, and it just doesn't appear to be a reparations organization. It's an organization that makes grants to other organizations.
And that tracks, because a lot of the nonprofits, their constituents are, even if they say, notice people have gotten away from specifically serving just the singular black community. There's people of color, there's disadvantaged and marginalized, et cetera, which means that, these are all people. So if you take...
But some of that is because of the ban of affirmative action, you'd agree, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you take funding and you give it to these types of groups, then that money is going to go to groups of people that it was not intended for. So, which is a problem. And as far as I'm not the kind of person that thinks that like not one non-descendant person can receive any type of benefit in reparations. I don't think that's realistic. I think there's always going to be a percentage of people that might fall outside of that. And that, to me, that's okay. I'm not going to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I'm not going to just say, well, I'm going to hold up reparations because I want this one thing has to be done this way, as opposed to giving a little, right, and getting much in return. So I think that is wise. But the people who are on the other side of the argument, Dominique, I believe they're going a step beyond than just saying, oh, this is a compromise. I know personally that people who have, who ascribe to the Pan-African diaspora reparations ideology are actively working against the grassroots. They are actively going in, poisoning the well for the philanthropic community against lineage-based arguments, selling them the idea of xenophobia and divisiveness, et cetera, et cetera. That's continued harm against our group. It's okay that you have your own idea, but, don't work actively against, because if you believe that the descendants are owed, but you think that also other people will benefit as a result of some of this work, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Then why are you working so hard against the people who are focused on it?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I also see a lot of lineage people working actively against Pan-Africans too, and I think we need to get more specific. What is this organization doing specifically? What is that organization? Because it's not fair for everybody who's a lineage-based organization to be lumped in with certain online trolls that are attacking people and really not doing the work, right? And it's not fair for the entire philosophy of Pan-Africanism to be lumped in with something that's anti-lineage, anti-reparation. I just feel like we need to get more specific.
And we need to grow up and stop acting
that
like children, right? I mean, I've seen some academia. I've seen people like Greg Carr literally call people out of, say dangerous things, tropes about people, the type of thing that gets you put on an FBI watch list. And we're talking about people like us that are actually doing the work, Dominique, right? So they have to be able to know the difference between an online troll and people who are actually doing the work. And so that's where I think it's kind of on both sides. We both need, both sides needs to be able to find a way to have some sort of exchange of ideas and dialogue. And we may have to agree to disagree. But I just know one thing in terms of the grassroots. We have not actively worked against any of the other people. We're too busy trying to, change the narrative and get people to understand, our purpose and our focus, right?
Yeah. So back to this California Black Freedom Fund, which is where we now know $6 million has been requested to go. I'm looking at the round 7 grantees. A New Way of Life Reentry. It's a great organization. Helps formerly incarcerated women. Monterey Black Caucus. Alliance for Boys and Men of Color. Anti-Police Terror Project. Most of these are black, but they're not reparations. Black Alliance for Just Immigration, Black Californians United for Early Care and Education, Black Cultural Zone Community Corporation, Black Futures Lab. I mean, most of them, 90% are black, but they're not reparations.
And they're also, none of them are grassroots organizations that work on the lineage focus reparations either. You'll notice that.
So would that change the equation for you? Let's say the Black Freedom Fund said this $6 million that we're getting granted is going to go strictly on reparations related things, and this will specifically include lineage-based organizations.
I don't know if at this point people would trust the California Black Freedom Fund for handling something like that. I think we would have much rather it had been took that same position and disseminated those funds to grassroots, if at all. I believe that the $12 million needs to stay where it is, right? And I understand that if there are funds that are earmarked, if they're not used, I believe within 3 years it goes back into the general fund or something like that. I believe we should petition the governor for a special session to reconsider standing up the agency.
I mean, I know that's part of the call to action, but it seems like a long shot.
It should be a long shot, but it can't hurt to try. I believe they just had a special session on oil and gas. Right? I think there was another special session prior to that. We're doing what is required of us. We're calls to action. We're putting out petitions. We're sending letters to the governor's office, and we're making a push to ask for a special session. And if he says no, which he probably will, that just just is fitting in par for the course in terms of how things have gone. But we're not going to stop trying. And then the last thing is, our concern is we hear that the CLBC says, okay, well, we're going to bring back 1403. We haven't heard anything about 1331, which is odd because why wouldn't they bring that back? Well, maybe it's because they're trying to get the money out of the existing one.
Well, okay, so I will say that I will say that Assemblymember Isaac Bryan did say they were bringing back both. I will say, but Senator Bradford said he felt they were going to bring back both too. But if you look at the letter when they put out after they unalived both of these bills, they said for 1331, see the author. So I think that is a legitimate and serious concern. I want to get a little deeper on these calls to action when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
This is 60.
And that chill in the air means one thing. It's truck season!
Just 5 more minutes.
No snoozing. You've got so much to do. So do it all in a Chevy Colorado or Silverado, including the HD or class-leading 440-mile range of the Silverado EV.
Wait, what? Are you talking?
Yes! Picture it. Work, play, hauling gear, off-roading. A Chevy truck can take whatever you can throw at it, including tailgating in an actual tailgate!
I mean, homecoming is just around the corner. Oh, and showing up in a new truck?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Get things done and look good doing it.
Okay, I'm up. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Without offering me a ride? That's cold.
Head to your local Chevy dealer and get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 and Colorado pickups when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 24.5%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available at least in some of the offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/24.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice, and injustice. The courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
Okay, I'm talking with Lorri Jenkins, co-chair of LEAP. I hope we answered Jan's questions thoroughly. We don't have too much time, though. You're certainly welcome to come back. Lorri Jenkins, I want to make sure you get a chance to say whatever it was that you really came here to say, and I'm also interested in calls to action.
One of the first things I want to make a correction is that Governor Newsom has not actually signed any of the bills in the reparations priority package. I saw a bill by Akilah Weber on barber and cosmetology. I thought that was one of the bills, but it was not. So I just wanted to make that correction. And so in terms of calls to action, again, next weekend, or this coming weekend, the 28th and 29th, is going to be a weekend full of community actions, both here in Southern California as well as in Northern California. And so we have the California Reparations Update, which is a community town hall to inform recipients of the California Reparations legislation progress, where these bills are, what's going to happen if they are or are not signed into law, and some of the community actions in terms of holding the legislators accountable for what they did, as well as their, like you said, their treatment of their constituents. We're going to demand that they treat us with respect, right? Secondly, and that's 9/28, Saturday, September 28th. On Sunday, 9/29 in Oakland, there's also going to be another town hall from ARCC, American Redress Coalition of California. And it's a, community town hall where they're going to, demand answers and action, and they're going to inform the community of what happened. And that's going to be at the Fremery Recreation Center on Adeline Street. You can probably see Chris or any other members from up north for more additional information. And at this point, we're just kind of waiting to see where the governor is going to land on this. We have until the end of September 30th, is his final day to sign any legislation. Any legislation that does not get signed goes back to the drawing board for the next legislative session. And so we are currently working to strategize on exactly how we will be, holding these CLBC members, the governor, accountable for doing what they said they were going to do when the final report from the CRTF was issued, right? Which was to get meaningful, tangible legislation in place. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to take 20 or 40 years to do it.
So as far as when you say where the governor lands, you're talking about on calling a special session, you're talking about on signing the bills that are on his desk right now, or moving forward?
All of the above, right? He has until September 30th to inform us whether or not he's going to do special session, yes or no. If no, then okay, you have till the 30th to sign those bills that did pass. And for those who are wondering what those bills are, it is AB 3089, the formal apology, SB 1050, the unjust taking of land, AB 1986, which are oversight on books being banned, 1815, prohibits hair discrimination. I guess that's the Crown Act. And SB 1089 and the grocery stores and pharmacies to give the community notice of closing. So those are the bills that we are waiting for the final disposition.
Wait, what was the first one you said, Ms. Jenkins? I'm sorry, I wasn't writing fast enough.
AB 3089.
3089, yeah.
Right. And then there's SB 1050. And then there's AB.
Right. 1050 is the land land
unjust taking of land.
Unjust taking of land. And 3089, is that the apology?
Correct.
Okay. Got it.
Yes.
And so
and
yeah, go ahead.
The other bills are the bills which we are kind of, these are the types of bills that we, out of a 1,000-page report, and when you pick the weakest bills in order to bring forward first, instead of being transformative, and Mike Davis was on your show, and I think he said some very profound things when he talked about transformative politics, right?
Yeah,
we are looking for these people to come forward with transformative bills next year. None of these low-hanging fruit. Save the low-hanging fruit for last. Let's be bold, right? That's what the people want. And as far as I'm concerned, the CLBC owes the people an apology, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And they owe the people action.
Yeah. And you're right, because if we have a window of opportunity, which I believe we do, that's when you got to go big or go home, because you might not get another window.
Absolutely. And that's why this was such a major, major misstep. They absolutely did not comprehend the depth and the breadth of what the repercussions and the fallout would be for this. I think they were very narrow-minded, very short-sighted, only focused on whatever their agenda was, whether it's covering for the governor or making sure that they did the governor's bidding, which is not to bring that bill to his desk. Whatever it was a calculated mistake.
Well, Lorri Jenkins, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it.
I appreciated having the conversation, Dominique.
True Vine Church, 3 p.m. Saturday. That's what's up. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The White House is trying to de-escalate tensions between Israel and the Iran-backed militia, Hezbollah. Potential cyclone heading towards the Gulf of Mexico is expected to become Tropical Storm Helene in the coming hours. Forecasts call for the storm to strengthen to